The following program is a paid presentation from the California Elder Law Center. The information and opinions expressed herein are solely those of the California Elder Law Center and are not the opinions of K-News, Alpha Media, management, or employees.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Elder Answers. This is the show where we get together every week and we discuss the major issues facing seniors in the United States today. Hi, everybody. This is elder law attorney Michael McGuire coming to you from the California Elder Law Center, where every week we bring you Elder Answers, where we discuss the major issues, broaching some new ones, giving you some information, giving you some insights into an issue that is beginning to become not just an issue of the guy next door or the person I know down at the end of the block, but it deals with all of us. If you're over the age of 65, you need to be listening to this stuff. You need to be aware of what's coming. And what's coming is a huge change in the demographics in the United States. Over the next 10 years, there's going to be close to 36 million people will be turning age 65 on up. That group of people will be growing ever larger and larger due to the fact that they are not just demographically the generation known as the baby boomers turning and completing their cycle of life, but also because they live so much longer. They live much, much longer. If you're a lady and you're 80 years of age, you have a life expectancy of at least 90 years of age. You have another 10 years to go. And the sad part about that prospect is that's a result of having excellent health care generated because of Medicare, a federal program that gives health insurance benefits, health care benefits to people age 65 on up in the United States, and of course now also many disabled people. But because you're getting better health care, you live longer. You have better pharmaceuticals, you have better diagnostics, you have better treatment modalities. And so as a result of that, we live longer. And the reality of us living longer is that 70% of us, 7 out of 10, look around the room, 7 out of 10 of us will be in need of some kind of long-term care during the course of our lives. Something that's, for many people, it's hard to even imagine. It's hard to even get your head around. I thought you were talking about them. I didn't have any idea you were talking about me. And if you know that these are possibilities in your life, in many cases are inevitabilities, does it make sense to you as an individual, as a husband, as a wife, as a mother, as a father, as a grandfather or a grandmother, does it make any sense to you that you could have a much better outcome if you put a little thought and planning into how you're going to approach these issues later on in life? Does it make any sense to you that it's to your advantage to be able to get the quality of care that you need and deserve, but not go broke doing it? And it's easy to envision you going broke if you do need care. Last month, or month before last, the state of California published their annual private pay rate. What is that? That's the average cost for a person in the state of California to spend 30 days, 1 month, in a nursing home, up and down the state. And that number comes out to $10,298 a month. A month. Try to imagine that for a moment. It's the first of the month coming up, and you need to write yet another check for $10,298. You need to write it for your wife. You need to write it for your husband. You need to write it for your mother or your father. And it's unrelenting. You must deliver the check. They will treat you like a tenant. They will evict you if you don't pay. And so does it make any sense to you as an individual concerned about these issues, either for yourself or for your spouse or for your loved one, for your mother or your father, for you to spend a little bit of time planning and first being able to create a plan means that you have to get educated, doesn't it? You have to find out what's really going on. And so when you come to a workshop, the way we traditionally used to do them in person, but now that you will be coming to us to participate in a workshop on Zoom, you need to be prepared to answer a couple of questions. These questions are critical. They are critical to your well-being. They're critical to the well-being of your loved one. These questions are self-evident when you step back for a moment and you think about this, that this could be a reality for me. And the two questions are what the webinar is all about, coming up with answers for them. Because it goes without saying, but I'll say it anyway. The people who have spent the time to educate themselves have not waited until it was a disaster. When that has happened, they have much better outcomes. They've planned, they've prepared themselves. They haven't left their wife broke. They haven't created a situation in which their husband had to sell the house just to pay for the care. Or they haven't had to beg money from their children to pay for their care because they didn't get around to taking care of business. So when two people, a couple, an individual, maybe an individual who's alone, they don't have anybody in life. Maybe somebody who has a situation in which their kids, their family, are living in another state, maybe in Orange County, maybe they live back in Nebraska, maybe they live in Oregon. How is that going to work out for you? How does that come out when your family that you're counting on in your old age is not there for you because they can't be there for you? They didn't decide to do it that way. That's just the way it worked out. They live somewhere else. And so when you're going through this process, you should be thinking about two questions. The two questions that demand answers from you, and only you can answer these things. And if you do come up with an answer, if you spend a little bit of time thinking about this, if you do prepare a little bit, you start the preparation process like you're doing right now, listening here on the radio, but you also come to the webinar and you start to educate yourself. You get the materials, you go to the website. And for people who do come to the webinar, who do attend the webinar, we're going to treat it just like we used to do with our workshops. You will be entitled to a free consultation. You can sit across the table because you've taken the effort to educate yourself. But what are these two questions that demand the answers? The two questions that absolutely must be answered are these. How are you going to pay for your care? Where is the money going to come from? It starts off at $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 a month to have somebody come into your house, and it ends up at $10,298 a month if you need to use a nursing home. And the other question, which in my opinion is even more important, this is a more important question that demands your answer be articulated now, is who's going to take care of you? Who is going to take care of you? Who's going to be there? And if you don't have answers to these two issues, then you owe it to yourself to start educating yourself and start learning how the process works. There's a lot of pieces and parts go into the whole thing. There's patterns that are developing over and over again in the aging population. What we see that are hot points that you critically must be prepared to deal with. The ravages of Alzheimer's disease and dementia. The constant threat of falling and breaking a bone, your hip. The presence of a stroke debilitating a senior, causing them to become bedridden, causing them to demand long, long recuperative periods of time. And as you go through this process, you start to emerge on the other side, not full of anxiety and fear and dread, but you start to understand that you could have done something about this, and there's still time. There's still time. We have a disproportionately large number of cases and families coming to us late in the process, and as a direct result, it's much more complicated and difficult to achieve the goals that they want in order to be taken care of, in order to get the quality of care that they want. There's certain remedial issues could have been resolved long ago that would make this process smooth. What we're always trying to do at the California Elder Law Center is get you to the position that you're not terrorized by the cost of our care, and you can focus on the quality of the care. And that requires a team. That requires more than one person. That requires more than simply having somebody come into your house and make lunch for you. And so it's up to you. Only you can take the steps and create the safe environment for you. And when you do that, what you're doing is you're addressing the issues that are so very, very important to all seniors. I want to stay at home. The number one issue, I want to stay at home. I don't want to be institutionalized. I want to stay here. I want to sit in my recliner. That's my remote. That's my cat. Leave me alone. Fine. One little problem is it doesn't seem to happen that way. Well, we know it doesn't happen that way because 80% of all Americans do not die in their home. They die in an institution. Why? I believe because they didn't take care of business ahead of time. They could have had a different outcome, but they didn't do it. The number two concern is I'm going to go broke. I don't want to be a bag lady. We spent all my money on my husband, and now I'm broke. I don't have anything left. I have to move. I have to sell my house. And the third major issue is I don't want to be a burden on my children. I don't want to deliver my problems to their doorstep. I don't want to interfere with them educating their children or their retirement. And yet, if you don't take care of these issues, what ends up happening? You are going to be sent to an institution. You're all going to die there. You will very likely go broke. And there's no doubt about it. You are going to be a burden on your family, your children, trying to figure out what to do in a crisis. And the comment is always the same. God, I wish he would have taken care of this when he had a chance.
Attorney Mick McGuire is now providing teleconferences. Find out more about how you can take part by visiting cal-elder-law.com. That's www.cal-elder-law.com. Or email Mick McGuire directly at info.calelderlaw@gmail.com.
As a result of the corona crisis, the California Elder Law Center must immediately cancel all free in-person workshops. However, you realize your need for information will not stop. The California Elder Law Center is making arrangements for alternative sources of information. We are beginning a series of teleconferences, videos, and complimentary forms to help you protect yourselves and your loved ones. Avoid the expenses and delays of probate. Access long-term care benefits through the VA and Medi-Cal, protecting your home and your assets. For full details and information, please call 760-422-0404. That's 422-0404. Or go to our website, www.cal-elder-law.com. That's www.cal-elder-law.com. Or send an email to info@calelderlaw@gmail.com. info@calelderlaw.com. This is Michael McGuire at the California Elder Law Center. And so, in the past, the way we used to do this, to fulfill our mission at the California Elder Law Center, our mission has always been to educate middle-class Americans about what they can do to upgrade the quality of their care, at the same time avoid the financial disaster of long-term care. The tools of the trade that we use are, as all elder law attorneys, we use estate planning tools. It would be a trust, wills, durable powers of attorney, upgraded, specific to deal with the issues of long-term care. And what that does is that separates people that are in the elder law field from people in the estate planning field. And the reason for it is that we focus on how do we get through a crisis? How does a crisis occur? What can we do about it? Is there some way we can help prevent that? That's what we try and do. And so what ends up happening, of course, when we get involved in this process is that it's an imperative on my part and on the part of the California Elder Law Center is to educate you as far as the issues of estate planning. Estate planning. That addresses an issue and answers a question that's very important to everybody, is what happens when I die? What happens when I die? Who gets my stuff? How do I do it? How do I do it with the least amount of expense and hassle for my family? I don't want my death to be a burden on them. If I have something left when I pass away, I want to make sure it goes to my kids. It goes to my spouse. Everything's taken care of. And that requires you to do some planning. And the more issues you have, the more complicated it gets. But there's nothing that is so complicated that it cannot be addressed. And there's nothing that once you get through all the legal jargon and nonsense and the $50 Philadelphia lawyer words that you understand how it works, that it's your plan and you're the one who is saying what you want to have happen. Once you understand what the alternatives are, then you can create a really nice plan. No probate. You don't need to do that. If you have a trust, that means that Medi-Cal can never put a lien on your house. Did you know that? Medi-Cal can never put a lien on your house. And so these ideas of doing the estate planning and answering the question, what happens if I die, are very, very important. This is critical stuff. This is basic, fundamental stuff, but it has to be done right. It is heartbreaking how many times it's not done right. It's not done right by individuals who are providing services that either don't know or don't particularly care or have a level of expertise that is like almost near zero. Yes, they've got some software. Yes, it's a big deal. You don't have to pay the attorney. But you know what? If you had a heart attack, would you be willing to go to like a veterinarian just to see how it turned out because it was so much cheaper? Is cheap what you want? Is cheap what you deserve? Because cheap going in is cheap coming out. I mean, we all know that. You get exactly what you pay for. You can delude yourself. You can pretend for a minute that I'm getting a bargain. You're not getting a bargain. You're getting cheap. You're getting cheap. You shouldn't put cheap tires on a car. You shouldn't buy cheap food if it's not good quality food. And so there's things that in our lives we need to spend a buck on to make sure it's really worth it. And when you do that, you end up being able to be counseled and have some idea about what you're doing and why you're doing it. That's the whole point. That's the estate planning process. Now, when you do cheap, you'll never get to the elder law part. They don't do the elder law part. And yet, the elder law part can blow your estate plan to smithereens, destroy it in a day, in a minute. How could that be? Well, if you had a debilitating stroke, if you tripped and fell over the cat, and as a result you broke your hip, if you had a heart attack, if you had developed Alzheimer's, dementia, all the different diabetes, and now this COVID nightmare we're dealing with, everything could go away in a heartbeat. Your plan goes away, your money goes away, the quality of your care is left in the hands of strangers. Now, cheap, you can get cheap and not pay the attorney stuff, has nothing to do with elder law. Estate planning often lacks the insights that's necessary for elder law. Elder law focuses on the quality of your care and how to access public benefits that are designed to protect a middle-class family from being financially destroyed simply because they didn't have the information. They didn't know what was necessary. That means the person you're talking to has got the expertise to deal with the Veterans Administration if you happen to be a veteran or if you happen to be the spouse of a veteran. That you could take your military service and cash in that chip now and get yourself $26,000 a year tax-free to help keep you at home, which is what you said you wanted. Cash on the barrelhead. Elder law is you being protected as far as your rights are concerned underneath Medicare and Medi-Cal. Medicare is short-term acute health insurance. Medi-Cal, as it applies to seniors for long-term care, is a catastrophic illness protection plan. The federal government, the same day they signed into law Medicare, they signed into law Medicaid. We call Medicaid Medi-Cal here in California. And one of the components of that was that if you are a senior in the United States and you are facing a catastrophic illness, you will be entitled to be protected from the ravages of that and not be destroyed financially. We are not going to deliver that burden onto your children or your grandchildren and deprive them of their retirement funding or education for their children. We're not going to do that as a society. And that was a decision that was made back in 1965. But for some reason along the way, that's become all muddied by the politicians on both sides of the aisle. Well, here's what you want to know. What is a catastrophic illness? What does that mean? How do they determine if I have suffered a catastrophic illness? Just having that insight, just having that information makes you so much more powerful in protecting yourself and upgrading the quality of your care. What you didn't know when you're trying to access public benefits, it's a 3-step process. And once you understand those 3 steps, now you become powerful. You're the one that's in control of this situation, not some bean counter sitting across the counter from you, but you. You're the boss. You're the one who's the beneficiary of the program, and they have to follow the law. They have to follow the rules of the program. And so when you start to understand that you are entitled to this based upon, in the case of the VA, your military service, in the case of Medi-Cal, based upon whether or not you've suffered a catastrophic illness event, then you start to realize that, well, that's the first level of inquiry, but now they're going to want to know about a bunch of other stuff. And this is why you want to really be prepared about this. You want to really have an understanding about this, and you want to have somebody in your corner that has read the rule book. It'll never cease to amaze me how many people walk around, and I'll be honest, in the legal profession and call themselves elder law attorneys, and they've never done an elder law case. An elder law case is somebody who has applied for benefits to pay for long-term care in a nursing home, or to deal with a discrepancy as far as the county handling your case, denying you your benefits, and has gone to what's called a fair hearing in front of an administrative law judge and has proven to the judge unequivocally the law says that person gets the benefit. And so you need to have that level of expertise and experience. Now, you're not going to get that from you don't have to pay the lawyer people. You don't get anything from them that is worth more than what they charge you. The sophisticated stuff is not in there. They don't put it in there. They don't even know what it is. They just buy some software and pound away. When you get yourself to the point where you're not a multimillionaire, I don't need high-end estate planning. What I need is I just need to know I'm not sending my kids to probate, but I do need to know that if I or my wife are faced with the trauma of long-term care, there's an answer here. There's something we can do. If you're the adult child, the son, the daughter, and you're trying to cope with this stuff in crisis, who do I turn to? How do I get an explanation? How do I get a straight answer from somebody? You can only get that from somebody who's actually done these kinds of cases and knows what the answers are because they've read the rule book. So don't be confused by just somebody who calls himself an elder law attorney. If you want to know if they're an elder law attorney, you're calling them for one of these things, ask them a couple of questions. Ask them, have you ever gone to a fair hearing for the benefit of your client? Have you ever filed for a fair hearing? Have you ever had to defend your client, the claimant, against a negative decision? In other words, you got denied in front of an administrative law judge and won. A, have you ever gone to one? And B, have you ever won one? And do you know where to go look for the answers? Have you ever had to look for the answers? Do you know what the rules are? Can you answer these kinds of questions ahead of time? Because who needs you in a crisis? Just calling yourself an elder law attorney doesn't make you an elder law attorney. What makes you an elder law attorney is having some compassion for your clients, having answers for people, helping to educate them to what the issues are, and then allowing them to make a quality decision for themselves based upon the information they have now received. Accurate, complete information, and now you can make up your mind what you want to do because now you know what the deal is.
Attorney Mick McGuire is now providing teleconferences. Find out more about how you can take part by visiting cal-elder-law.com. That's www.cal-elder-law.com. Or email Mick McGuire directly at info.calelderlaw@gmail.com.
As a result of the corona crisis, the California Elder Law Center must immediately cancel all free in-person workshops. However, you realize your need for information will not stop. The California Elder Law Center is making arrangements for alternative sources of information. We are beginning a series of teleconferences, videos, and complimentary forms to help you protect yourselves and your loved ones. Avoid the expenses and delays of probate. Access long-term care benefits through the VA and Medi-Cal, protecting your home and your assets. For full details and information, please call 760-422-0404. That's 422-0404. Or go to our website, www.cal-elder-law.com. That's www.cal-elder-law.com. Or send an email to info.calelderlaw@gmail.com. info@calelderlaw.com. This is Michael McGuire, elder law attorney at the California Elder Law Center, and you're listening to Elder Answers. Let me give you a couple of examples, I guess. That's probably the best way of doing this, to explain to you how things get really complicated. Really complicated. I received a phone call yesterday, as a matter of fact, from an attorney in Connecticut, back in Connecticut. Her mother lives here in the Coachella Valley. She is one of 3 sisters. And their mother has clearly developed dementia. The problem is there's 3 daughters. The problem is 2 of them agree that mother is in need of help, that mother is not in a position to any longer really make decisions for herself, and they went through a checklist, and you should too. The problem that they have is the 3rd sister has apparently gone to see somebody and executed some documents that gave her power to run the show, negating all the documents that had been prepared over the years by mother and father. Father died, and now mother's in harm's way. Mother's had cardiac surgery, and she's really struggling. It's obvious that she's struggling. But the daughter, who's sort of went around everybody, got somebody to fill out some forms saying that she's the one that's going to make all the decisions. She believes in non-traditional type of treatment. She believes that you can use Chinese herbs to alleviate your fear of Alzheimer's, dementia, and coronavirus. She fed those herbs to her mother. The result was she still has dementia. She may have Alzheimer's form of dementia. And hopefully we'll never find out if it works against coronavirus. But it does give you diarrhea. That they know. They know it now. And when you run into these kinds of situations, it's always the same thing. These dynamics get out of control. Somebody has an opinion about this, another one has an opinion about that. They want to get in control. They want the money. Whatever the story is that you've lost control. You started off thinking you were going to be okay, but now you can't defend yourself. So how do you know, what are the 10 signs of Alzheimer's disease, the early detection? This is what everybody should know about. Now, that doesn't mean that you're going to sit here and listen to this and immediately diagnose yourself. But if you don't get to the doctor, if you don't get a diagnosis, if you don't do this stuff, believe me, you're sending your family into Burden City. They're going to be walking a real steep slope. In California, if you get a durable power of attorney, what's that? That's a document that says you are appointing somebody to be in charge of your personal finances and your personal care during a period of time in which you can't do that. You lack the capacity to make good quality decisions. Or you're so ill and frail you just really can't cope. And so you give that person that power because you trust them, because you know that they're going to take care of you. And a way to address that issue is that you read the document, you see what it says. For instance, it says on the front of the document, and this is a document that's unique in California in that they publish in the probate code a version of it. This is the basic bare bones version. This is the, by the way, when you do the I don't have to pay the lawyer any money place, how exciting that was. This is what you get. You get the bare bone version. But it's legal. It's legal. You sign it, you notarize it. And what does it say? It says on the front, after you've made all these kinds of decisions, or you just made one decision and said, I want everything, it says that this document is now effective immediately. Immediately. And so that means that this person you trust, or persons, a couple of people that work together, they have the power to step in and take care of without having a bunch of rigmarole. They don't have to struggle with running around town finding doctors, getting you in front of somebody who's going to determine your capacity. They don't have to do that. They can just get on with the business of taking care of mom or dad or whatever it takes. The documents that we perform, that we produce, say the same thing. They're effective immediately. That's designed to make it fast and easy so you can get to work. There are, however, financial institutions that take it upon themselves to say, we're not going to go along with that. We need you to go get an evaluation that says you're incapacitated. Well, you can't say that to your customer bank because they're incapacitated. But you do say it to the agent, the person who's trying to take care of them, usually their adult kids or maybe even their spouse, and you tell them, no, we're not going to honor that. They're not going to honor what's the law. And so you need to have a way, a strategy to deal with this. You need to have a strategy to deal with the hospital, to deal with not just the bank, but the nursing home, the rehab center. These things build up for you, and it's a tragedy when you're trapped without that empowerment. This problem is getting more and more acute, and what has happened now is the three-daughter scenario. The daughter who's got all these sort of crazy ideas about how the world should run doesn't want to have mother go to a neurologist. Now, it's really painful to ask somebody with Alzheimer's, do you want to go to a neurologist to prove that you have Alzheimer's disease? Can you think about how complicated? We have another one. A daughter here in the desert lives with her mother. Mother's 87 years old. She got up one morning to make a pot of coffee. She's been having issues. She's been having problems. She refused to go to the doctor about this situation, or the doctor goes through a bunch of rigmarole. To tell you the truth, it's just like, what is that all about? One doctor to another doctor because the HMO likes to do it that way. And then you find out like she did, she walks into the kitchen. It's early morning. Mother's making a pot of coffee. She walks in. The door's open. Mother's gone. She's gone. She was looking for her little girl, 87 years old. She said that after they found her. They found her 4 hours later laying in a ditch with a shoulder that was shattered and broken in 5 places. She was looking for a little girl. That's her daughter, who had to call the police. And they had to spend the time and energy of 4 squad cars searching all over La Quinta for this lady. And her dementia is such that it makes it so much more complicated. In fact, the hospital is having trouble controlling her. The facilities where she should have gone for her rehab did not want to take her because of her behavior issues. There was no neurologist. This woman had a shoulder broken in 5 places. They gave her Tylenol. They wanted her to go home the next day. That's what they want. And so with you not having that empowerment, when you don't have these protections built in, and even when you do, sometimes it's a challenge. And so the moral of the story here is that, well, how do I know this is happening? How do I know that my loved one, my mother, my father is starting to struggle with these kinds of issues? Well, you get yourself educated. The first thing I told the lady attorney who called from Connecticut is that you need to go to an Alzheimer's support group back in Connecticut, and your other sister should be going to an Alzheimer's support group here in California, so that you will have somebody help you deal with the issues that you're dealing with, which is to have a sister who's this holistic, maybe she has her heart in the right place, but her head sure isn't there. And now it's causing damage. Mother's anxiety has exploded. She misunderstands. She can't remember what somebody said. She's suffering like so many people do with the issue of whoever's the last person in front of them is the one that they go along with. And as is usually the case with this kind of a situation, is that mother just wants to make nice with everybody. So if you want me to not to go to the doctor, I won't. If you want me to take the Chinese herbs, I will. I don't have anything against Chinese herbs, but I don't believe they've been identified as a solution to the pandemic that's struck America. I will tell you that trying to deal with this kind of issue and get documents signed for somebody who is in one of these facilities is you can forget it, because you can't get in. So we'll take care of that. We'll get that. Now that it's a crisis, we used to go in there and we'd have the ombudsman come in and we would document this stuff, and then we would go ahead and get them all signed. Those days are over for right now. You can't get in. They won't let you in. Now what are you going to do? You have no paperwork. You can't get to the bank. Everything's locked up. I gotta be able to pay the utilities. Well, doesn't look like it now. Why? Well, we didn't address that issue. We didn't do it right. We went to you don't have to pay the lawyer people, or we went to an estate planning attorney who does a great job as far as what happens when you die, but they may not have some of the language that's critically important in the elder law field about what do we do now if you live? What's the answer to the problem of living? And that's what we face with over and over again. So what's your solution? Well, you can pick up the phone. You can call 760-422-0404, 422-0404. And you can say, hey, I want to be part of the webinar. Reach out to me and set me up so I can be there. I want to get the information. And if I go to the webinar, I understand I'm entitled to a free consultation with the elder law attorney. Is that true? Yes. Okay, fine. That's what I need. That's what I want. See, we want you to go to the webinar to educate yourself to the basics. And then when you come into the office, we're ready to get to work, and so are you. That's the idea. And that way, the precious time we spend together is going to be all about you and the solution, not trying to figure out where your bank accounts are.
Attorney Mick McGuire is now providing teleconferences. Find out more about how you can take part by visiting cal-elder.org. www.cal-elder-law.com. That's www.cal-elder-law.com. Or email Mick McGuire directly at info.calelderlaw@gmail.com.
As a result of the corona crisis, the California Elder Law Center must immediately cancel all free in-person workshops. However, you realize your need for information will not stop. The California Elder Law Center is making arrangements for alternative sources of information. We are beginning a series of teleconferences, videos, and complimentary forms to help you protect yourselves and your loved ones. Avoid the expenses and delays of probate. Access long-term care benefits through the VA and Medi-Cal, protecting your home and your assets. For full details and information, please call 760-422-0404. That's 422-0404. Or go to our website, www.cal-elder-law.com. That's www.cal-elder-law.com. Or send an email to info.calelderlaw@gmail.com. info@calelderlaw.com. This is Elder Answers, and my name is Michael McGuire, Elder Law Attorney with the California Elder Law Center. You really need to address the issue. I find that Alzheimer's is such a difficult situation to deal with. It's very frustrating for the caregivers. It's frustrating for the spouse that's a caregiver, for the adult children. It's hard to understand. It's hard to cope with. And the earlier you get involved in this process, the better off you are. What are the early detection matters that you should know? There's 10 signs that you should be looking for. Okay, it's if you have a memory loss that starts to disrupt your daily life. What's that mean? Well, one of the most common signs of Alzheimer's, especially in the early stages, is forgetting recently learned information. Others include forgetting important dates or events, asking for the same information over and over, relying on memory aids such as reminder notes or electronic devices, or family members for things they used to handle on their own. What's typical of this? Well, sometimes forgetting the names or appointments, but remembering them later. It pops in later. How about challenges in planning or solving problems? Some people may experience changes in their ability to develop and follow a plan or work with numbers. They may have trouble following a familiar recipe or keeping track of monthly bills. Boy, have we ever heard that one before? They may have difficulty concentrating and taking much longer to do things than they did before. What's typical of this? Well, making occasional errors while balancing a checkbook. My mother would consistently pay the utility bill 4 times in 1 month until the utility company called and said, please stop doing that. Difficulty completing familiar tasks at home, at work, or at leisure. People with Alzheimer's often find it hard to complete daily tasks. Sometimes people may have trouble driving to a familiar location, managing a budget at work, or remembering the rules of a favorite game. What's typical of this kind of stuff? Well, occasionally needing help to use the settings on the microwave or to record a television show. Well, I don't know if I'd go with that, record a television show. I've never been very good at that, so I'm gonna forget that one. How about confusion with time or place? People with Alzheimer's can lose track of dates, seasons, the passages of time. They may have trouble understanding something if it is not happening immediately. Sometimes they may forget where they are or how they got there. What's typical of that kind of stuff? Well, getting confused about the day of the week or by figuring it out later on. We get that all the time. People show up on the wrong day for their appointment, for their consultation, or they get confused and they think there was something that they were supposed to take care of and they didn't. They get agitated. Trouble understanding visual images and spatial relationships. For some people, having vision problems is a sign of Alzheimer's. They may have difficulty reading, judging distance, and determining color or contrast. In terms of perception, they may pass a mirror and think someone else is in the room. They may not recognize their own reflection. They have vision changes related to cataracts. New problems with words in speaking or writing. People with Alzheimer's may have trouble following or joining a conversation. They may stop in the middle of a conversation and have no idea how to continue, or they may repeat themselves. They may struggle with vocabulary, have problems finding the right word, or call things by the right name. In other words, like calling a watch a hand clock, getting confused about that. Sometimes having trouble finding the right word, which is very, very common as we age. But when it becomes acute, you want to keep an eye out. Misplacing things and losing the ability to retrace steps. A person with Alzheimer's disease may put things in unusual places. They may lose things and be unable to go back over their steps or to find them again. Sometimes they may accuse others of stealing. This may occur more frequently over time. Misplacing things from time to time, such as a pair of glasses or a remote control. I'm starting to depress myself. Decreased or poor judgment. People with Alzheimer's may experience changes in judgment or decision making. This is critical. For example, they may use poor judgment when dealing with money, giving large amounts to telemarketers. They may pay less attention to grooming or keeping themselves clean, making a bad decision once in a while. We had a client who, in 1 month, spent $100,000 making charitable contributions to a charity he had never, ever dealt with before in his life. But the solicitations kept coming in the mail. He kept sending checks over and over and over again, 20 times, $100,000. Of course, the charity did not return the money. Withdrawal from work or social activities. A person with Alzheimer's may start to remove themselves from hobbies, social activities, work projects, or sports. They may have trouble keeping up with a favorite sports team or remembering how to complete a favorite hobby. They may also avoid being social because of the changes they have experienced. Sometimes feeling weary of work and family and social obligations may be a sign. And their moods may change. Their personality may change. Developing very specific ways of doing things. Becoming irritable when the routine is disrupted. Boy, is that part of the deal. You got to be prepared for this to help them. What's the problem? Well, let's go over to the bank and put my name on the account, Mom. And then Mom is sitting at the bank and she can't remember why she's there. And the bank is all worried about elder abuse. And you're trying to do the best you can. And you just flew in from somewhere else. And now we're back to the two questions we started with today. How are you going to pay for the care? And who's going to take care of you? You need to get on this. 760-422-0404. 422-0404. You need to be realistic about this. You planned early in your life to get an education. You planned to buy a house. You put money away to buy a refrigerator. You got a car. You had a job. You kept your job. You got another job. You moved on with your life. You took care of your children. You put shirt on their back and food on the table and packed them off to school and took care of them when they got in trouble. You were there for them. But for some reason, you get to this point in your life, you've worked hard, you put some money aside, you got the house paid for, and now, for some reason, this is an issue you just can't face. It's too uncomfortable. And I'm here to tell you, you're going to have the outcome that you want if you do address the issue now. You need to get the documents lined up. You need to have the expertise to back you up when the time comes. 760-422-0404. Get some help now. 422-0404. The California Elder Law Center is going to be launching a program so that when you go to you don't have to pay the lawyer anymore. You can get those kind of documents by those people, or you can get quality documents at the same price from the California Elder Law Center. At least it gets you started with something. If you need to have somebody review those documents to make sure you did it right, we'll have somebody to do that. If you are really in need of sitting down and having somebody go through this whole thing and devise a plan for you that not only deals with answering the questions of what happens when I die, but answers the questions, the really important questions of what happens when I live, introduces you to concept about how do you get taken care of. I'm here alone. I live alone. Who's going to take care of me? Do you know how many of you are out here in this desert? If you're sitting down there in Brawley, are you comfortable with the quality of the care you're going to get down there, or out in Blythe, or up in Yucca Valley, in Beaumont and Banning, and everywhere in between? Now you can participate with a teleconference without having to make the drive. You'll be available to get the information. Now you can upgrade the quality of your documentation, but more importantly, you can upgrade your information and make yourself as strong as somebody who's living in Beverly Hills. Now you'll know how to protect your house. Now you know how to protect your savings. Now you know what to say and how to get a higher level of care, a much higher level of care, because now you're the one that's in the driver's seat. You're the one that has the ability to get in charge. When you do that, the anxiety starts to leave, and that helps your mind clear. And now when you have that information, you can think rationally, and you can do everything that's necessary to protect yourself and your family. This is Michael McGuire from the California Elder Law Center. I've been doing this for 25 years. I've seen these places and people come and go. And the one thing that's been consistent is being a student of what I do, of understanding what the rules are, of exploring and digging down into the minutiae of the regulations. What do I do that for? So that when the issue comes up, you've got somebody in your corner that can help you. Sometimes we are in a position to be able to simply give you the information. You know, when people came to our workshops, we used to always give them these handouts that had a lot of great information on them. Well, what you're going to do now is if you come to the teleconference, if you sit in on the webinar, you can be able to get all those documents and handouts. We'll send them out to you, or you can just download them. And so we're going to be able to go back to our roots as far as helping you understand how this process works. And yes, we'll discuss what probate is and how it is. And yes, we'll discuss what a catastrophic illness is and how do I protect my house from a lien and how do I protect my mother? How do I protect my father? How do I protect my wife? How do I protect myself? The quality of your care is in direct proportion to how prepared you are to cope with these issues when they arise. Thank you very much for listening to us. Please feel free to call us at 422-0404 if we can help. This is Michael McGuire with the California Elder Law Center. Until next week, thanks for joining us.
A child struggling to speak. It's often a developmental disability that can leave a child frustrated and isolated. Life-changing treatment by professional speech therapists is available at no cost to the family. It's at the Stan and Bobby Gold Right Care Childhood Language Center in Palm Desert. We need your donation. On your phone or computer, search Gold Right Care. That's Gold, R-I-T-E, Care. From the Palm Springs Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, give a child the gift of speech.